Welcome in on this Tuesday. Nice to have you aboard. We got a busy show. Bruce Howard. There's a name you haven't heard in a while. He was part of our American Athletic Conference Roundtable and will be again this year when baseball comes to a close on Wednesdays. He will be joining us because the Golden Hurricane are in town, a team that has really struggled the last couple of years. They got a new coach, Trey Lamb, who has said it's a new day in Tulsa, no longer the doormat, and they did go beat Oklahoma State for the first time in 70 years. They'll be here, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, on Saturday. They come in with a 2-3 record. That Oklahoma State win was significant. They got bullied around a little bit by Tulane on last Saturday, so we'll see what they are all about. It's always a pleasure to talk with our buddy Bruce Howard. In the middle segment, as always, we'll talk SEC football. Ron Higgins was at the LSU Ole Miss game. I can't believe two people have Ole Miss at 12 and at 13. They just beat a pretty good LSU team. They beat them at home, but they beat them, and that's one of the better defenses, and that maybe one of the best stories of the year so far. Chambliss, the kid from Ferris State, who didn't get any offers from Division I programs, had to play in the Division II. Look what he did. Almost 400 total yards. That's quite the story. I think he's quite the deal, too, because I don't think his NIL is all that expensive. So Lane Kiffin, once again, with a great strike there. But we'll talk all things SEC, including Vandy at 5-0, Missouri at 5-0. Who is the best team in the SEC? The mess that is Arkansas. Sam Pittman gone, Bobby Petrino in. He's firing people, picking up where he left off. And there's a couple of good games. Vandy, which the upset last year against Alabama, I don't see that happening in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Texas and Florida. This is a true test now for Arch Manning. Both teams with a bye week. So both teams have had a chance to reset. Can Arch Manning recapture some of the momentum he had coming into the preseason when he was truly an unknown entity? He has played decently against poor teams. This will be a good test. If this doesn't go the Gators' way, if this goes to Arch and to Texas, what happens with Billy Napier? Is this, because I think the beginning of the end is already there. Would this be the end? Would they, like 4 other Power 4 schools, fire their coach halfway through the year or even before? And we'll discuss all of that a little bit with Ron Higgins. Then we'll get back into Tiger football with the Tiger beat writer, Jonah Dillon. I thought it was very interesting because we suspected that there was a message being sent maybe by Ryan Silverfield to Zach Kittle, the Florida Atlantic head coach, at the end of the game when they could have walked in on a 15-yard Brandon Lewis touchdown with a minute and change left in the game, and the Tigers already up. Those were points 49-50, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Why? Why didn't you just take a knee? And it's very simple. And I thought Ryan Silverfield was brutally honest. He said those guys, in their frustration, became a very dirty team. There were 2 unsportsmanlike penalties. There are actually 3 penalties on 2 plays. And he didn't want his guys, 1, retaliating, 2, hurt. So he just said, the best way? Fake to the running back because they're going to bite. And Brendan Lewis walks into the end zone for an easy touchdown. But the best part is now his offense is off the field. So nobody's going to get hurt. No more dirty plays, and maybe a message to the coach. Although, who knows if that was the case. So we'll be busy today. Halfway through, what do we know about the University of Memphis Tigers? What's good? What's not so good? What's got to get fixed? I can tell you this much. I really want to ask Jonah Dillon about what he thinks of the Jordan Hankins second half adjustments, because they've been brilliant. Now, Memphis' defense in second halves, whew, my goodness. They've given up 20 points. One of those was a touchdown 7 of those, I should say, was a touchdown last week after the Memphis offense had the ball stripped away on a sack and was picked up and returned to the 19. That's almost really like they've given up 13 points in 5 games. That's pretty heady stuff. Jordan Hankins kind of figures it out and creates more chaos. It is a fun thing to watch. And before we bring in our good friend Bruce Howard, I want to send thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family of Larry Ray. Larry Ray, I don't even know how long he was a writer for the Commercial Appeal, but it was a long time. Had to be 40 years, I would imagine. Larry did enjoy retirement. I think he had a good last 10 years or so. Then was in a battle with cancer apparently the last few years and passed away yesterday at the age of 82. I never met a nicer guy, a guy that would share his knowledge more with anybody who would want to listen. He was willing to help, and he was really good at what he did. I first met him when he was the prep writer, and he was a longtime prep writer for the Commercial Appeal, and I think he sort of set the stage on what you can make that beat. He made it, and others then came along and emulated what he did. He made it important. He broke it down. He got to know all those coaches. He understood that those young men needed attention too, and he made that beat a relevant beat, I thought. Then later, he had a great love of the outdoors and became an outdoor writer, and then took it a step further and became a radio outdoor personality. And this was really, there were TV personalities like Mr. Dance, but there wasn't radio outdoor shows. I know, George, we had a gentleman on, but he took that step further. He got radio time and had his own radio show on a Saturday morning, all about the outdoors, fishing and hunting and where to go, and it was popular. And he came up with that concept, or at least took the concept and made it a full show and made it an interesting show, and did that for a long period of time. Really a wonderful gentleman who lived a great life. Larry Ray passes away at the age of 82. I sit in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, I got to go see Billy. I got to go see Lindsay because I need my last supply, I guess, of pool chemicals. But if you're looking to enjoy that sort of thing, they've got the biggest spa sale going on right now, where spas started under $3,000. The bigger swim spas have 30% off on that price tag. Floor model specials are even better. And if you're into this new thing that's the rage in Hollywood, the cold plunges, they literally put ice in the hot tub. It's kind of a cool thing to see. Those started under $5,000. Swimming pool clearance pricing, because once October comes, that ends. They bring in new stuff. Prices go up. Cash in now. The world's biggest spa sale with clearance pricing on swimming pools only at I-40 and Wooden Road. That's Family Leisure. We head to Tulsa. They'll be in town. Looking forward to that on Saturday, 7 o'clock. The voice of the Golden Hurricane, longtime voice, is Bruce Howard with another new team, another new coach. Good morning. How do you like working with Trey Lamb? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Good to be on with you guys. Trey Lamb's been terrific. I mean, he's so young. He's 30, just turned 36, and he's in his 6th year already as a head coach. So, and he's well beyond his years in terms of, media savviness and ability to kind of, charge his team up and kind of push the right buttons. So far it's been great. You lose a tough game against Tulane, and Tulane is really good. But last night's coach show was great. He was terrific about it, and so far it's been great to work with him, and obviously had a history-making win a couple of weeks ago in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. So that was big time, since they hadn't won there since 1951.
Yeah, it's 70-something years, 74 years since they had won in Stillwater. I don't know if it was trying to change the culture or feeling good about yourself or I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of the proclamation was, but I watched his post-game interview where he declared it's a new day in Tulsa after that win. Can he live up to that? Do you see that really happening with this football team?
Well, he's a guy that does not lack for confidence. So he's going to make those sorts of proclamations, and I think it's probably a little of all of what you said. A little bit of turning the culture, and there have been a couple of different. This isn't the first time that TU has declared we're Tulsa's team. That's something that's been done by several coaches in the past. But he also brought out the phrase "New Tulsa." Which I thought was kind of interesting. And, when you've had 3 straight losing seasons, that's not a bad message, that this is a new team. And, of course, we're all going through that. Every year, every team is a new team, in terms of personnel and all of that sort of thing. So, no, I think that's just kind of the way he is and the way he thinks. And, so far, so good. Now, can this team go win 8-9 games, who knows, but probably not, right now, with this tough schedule, especially this stretch that Tulsa's going through, you lose to Memphis, you're 2-4. So you got some work to do to get the 6 to even, make a bowl game. So I think it's big view, but little steps, with the program and with Trey Lamb.
Well, you've had back-to-back-to-back really tough games if I look ahead in your schedule too. So this is the stretch that if you could steal one, you could make a bowl. I'm sort of guessing. You average almost 400 yards per game, but only 21 points. You're good at causing fumbles. Tell me a little bit more about this team and how different it is with this young head coach.
Well, they're very aggressive. They do a very nice job in converting not necessarily third downs because they're about 38% on third downs, but third and fourth down together. Because they go for it a lot on fourth down if they're anywhere near midfield. So he's very aggressive in that regard. The other day he throws in a trick play, a flea flicker to get Tulsa down to the 1. They score a touchdown, and everybody's all charged up. And the least, probably the thing that was least in your mind was that he would do an onside kick immediately. so they have an onside kick. They recover it. Didn't do anything with that drive, but it just shows that he's going to, really coach aggressively. This is a team that's still kind of trying to find its way offensively. Started the year with Kirk Francis at the quarterback. He got a concussion. Baylor Hayes has come in, a redshirt freshman, from Brentwood, Tennessee. From Tennessee. Baylor's really done a nice job. He's a little more of a threat with his feet than Kirk Francis, and so but he's a redshirt freshman, so he's going to, make some mistakes. He's going to go against a Tulane defense that really defended him well. They put a guy in his face almost every time he rolled out, and when he's out and on the move, that's when he's most dangerous. So it's a team that does want to run the ball a lot, Dave. Even though they do play with pace, they do like to pace with the running game and Dominic Richardson. So, and then defensively, I think, really the strength of the team coming into the Tulane game was the defensive and offensive lines. However, Tulane dominated both of those areas in the game on Saturday. Coming into the game, he felt pretty good about the cobbled together offensive line and the cobbled together defensive line, which has some depth in it. But obviously Tulane will expose you in a lot of different ways.
Well, you have played 2 teams that Memphis will play at home that figure into the conference race, Tulane and Navy. Of those 2, which one is tougher?
Well, I think Navy's really good, but I think Tulane may be more well-rounded. Although, they gave up some points to some people. Their defense looked awfully good against Tulsa. Thought that they had a really good scheme, and they defended Tulsa well, especially after Tulsa had a couple of big plays. They had the flea flicker play and a 72-yard pass to the tight end that was a touchdown. Other than that, they were pretty tight. And Navy defended Tulsa well. Also, but I would say I would give the slight advantage to Tulane, although I think Navy is really good. Horvath is a great operator, and as always with those systems, if your quarterback isn't a good player, if your quarterback doesn't operate like a Horvath, then you're going to have some troubles, and you can just look up to West Point to see that.
Well, this league does have good quarterbacks. I mean, the kid at FAU, Veldkamp. who came from Western Kentucky. He's a pretty good quarterback, big kid. And then Horvath is great. Obviously, Retzlaff, who came to Tulane at the end because of what happened at BYU, he's obviously a really good quarterback. Who would you rather have between those two?
Between Horvath and Retzlaff?
Yeah.
Retzlaff? Probably Horvath because of the system and the way they run it and his ability to throw the ball. Retzlaff can get a little loose of the ball a little bit, although Tulsa didn't jar it loose from him. I know he had fumbled 4 or 5 times in the early going for Tulane, but he's really good as well. I mean, he's a thrower that runs. Horvath is a runner that throws. So they're a little bit different, obviously, because of the system. But Retzlaff played really well against, just had an unbelievable game, when they beat Duke. I mean, 350 some odd yards passing and 80 yards rushing. And then the following week, against a really good Ole Miss team, he was 5 for 17.
Right.
And didn't do much at all. So, I mean, so he's had the kind of up and down situation. And then he was pretty good. He wasn't Duke good against Tulsa, but he was pretty good. He ran the ball when he had to and got some key yardage, and he threw the ball pretty well. So, but overall, I mean, I'd rather be in Navy's position, I think, than Tulane quarterback wise. Now, overall, I think Tulane's a better team.
Now, in the American, you guys have a win over a Power 4 in Oklahoma State. Even Army has a win over Kansas State, and I don't think this is a vintage Army team. East Carolina could be scary, though, because they beat the heck out of Army. I watched a whole bunch of that game. Memphis has the win over Arkansas. USF has the win not only against a non-Power 4, but the juggernaut that we know is Boise State. And then they beat Florida, which we... not a great team. They did get boat washed by Miami, but everybody has been destroyed by Miami. But I bring that up because it's almost like a foregone conclusion that the American is the lock. The champion from that league will automatically get the berth in the playoffs as the group of 5 or 6, if you count the pack now. That they would be the rep in. I think you got to look at UNLV because Dan Mullen's team hasn't lost a game yet, and they got Boise in about 3 weeks. They haven't beaten anybody either, and they've been really close in those wins. But do you think it's a lock? The American is going to be the G5 rep?
I think it's as close to a lock as you can have 5 games in. There's a lot of football yet to be played, and don't forget Tulane, and their 2 P4 wins. Their win over Northwestern
and Duke,
and Duke. So there's a bunch
that.
There's a bunch of P4 wins by the American, and what's a little stunning to me and a little disappointing is obviously nobody's paying attention. Memphis should be ranked.
They're 26 in one poll,
right.
29. Just keep winning, you'll get ranked. Because teams will lose.
Exactly. And, you just can't lose. But I think there are 3 or 4 teams that probably deserve to be ranked. But, as usual, they're kind of being, ignored when you think about, the unbeaten teams you have in the league. You got Memphis and Navy, and don't forget North Texas is 5-0 at this point. And then your 1-loss teams, Tulane and USF, are awfully good, and they're all getting votes. At this point.
Yeah, I think you put it beautifully. As much as you can really call a shot, 5 games in, that they are definitely the leader in the clubhouse for that G5 representation. All right, last thing. Memphis hasn't seen Tulsa in football in almost 3 years. The last time they played was 22 in November. What do you think? Give me the way this matches up on Saturday night.
Well, Memphis is going to be the heavy favorite. What is it, 3 touchdowns now?
20 and a half.
Yeah. So it's about 3 touchdown favorite. A lot of things have to go well for Tulsa to be competitive, and I think for Tulsa to do that, they got to do some of the stuff they did against Navy. They forced 3 turnovers against Navy in the first quarter, and that helped them take a 14-0 lead. That sort of thing has to happen. I'm not saying they got to get 3 turnovers in the first quarter. What I'm saying is they've got to pry the ball loose. And honestly, since that 3 turnover quarter that Tulsa has, they've gone 11 quarters with only 1 turnover force. So I think Tulsa's got to do that. They've got to catch a few breaks. They've got to play aggressively in order to make it a game. But there's no question that Memphis has the capability like they did against FAU, to break open a relatively close game midway through and then just win it going away. So I think Tulsa's got a shot, obviously. You always think you have a shot, but they've got to be valid and competitive when you go into the final 15 minutes and then see what happens.
31-point fourth quarter. I haven't seen that in a long, long time. I think last time we saw that, Norvell was here early. I'm trying to remember. They scored 35 in a quarter against somebody. But, some of that was message sending, too, because FAU got real chippy at the end, and Ryan Silverfield did not like that one bit. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. I know we're going to talk tomorrow, and I will see you Saturday at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I think you'll like your new plush quarters.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the new press box up there, and I just, always love going to Memphis and seeing you guys, and should be. You just hope that there's a really good game.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. Bruce Howard, thank you as always. We appreciate it. That is the voice of the Golden Hurricane for a long, long time. Always love chatting with him. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. There's a third generation now, 80 years of building palaces or making modern homes out of beautiful homes that just, they were built a long, long time ago, and you want the movie room, you want the California closet, you want the island in the kitchen. They can do that. I call that renovation with innovation. They do it all. They'll provide land. If you've got land and you're not sure how to use it, they provide the knowledge. 3 generations worth. Ken Sr., Ken Jr. took over. Now William's in the business. And they all 3 had a couple of things in common. 1, they see the little details while looking at the big picture. And 2, and they'll tell you this in their own commercial when they speak about it, the job's never done. They're with you the whole way. You become part of their family. They're going to make sure 6 months after the job, if something is not quite right, that it becomes perfectly right. All you got to do is check it out. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. And then, if you're going to build that dream home or you want that renovation with innovation, there's one name, only one name to think about. That's Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Building. We take the break. We're back in a minute. We are heading to Baton Rouge. We talk SEC football with our SEC historian. That's Ron Higgins, and he comes your way next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston from Sports 56 here with Corey B. Trotz and Parker Trotz from NST Law. Okay, Parker, tell us, why did you even want to become a personal injury lawyer?
We all know somebody that's been injured in an accident. They may be off work, without transportation, not to mention just having to heal from all of their injuries. And so being a personal injury attorney really gives me a unique opportunity to help people and do for them what they wouldn't be able to do on their own and help get them through a really difficult process while making them feel at ease.
Now, Corey, we know that NST Law has been around forever in the Memphis community. Tell us about some of the causes that really matter the most to your firm.
We have served food at the Ronald McDonald House, cleaned up parks in Memphis, delivered food to people who are food insecure. We've also donated to a lot of legal organizations that provide legal services to indigent clients. Our attorneys and staff want to continue to give back to this wonderful city that's helped us out so much.
Thank you so much, Parker. Thank you, Corey. Remember, NST is always the way to go. If you're ever injured, go to nstlaw.com.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I've got him on the line. Marty McNade over at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. What you got going on over there, McNade?
Randy, I've got 2025 Taos S, $236 a month, and 2025 Jetta Sport, $239 a month.
That's Taos S, $236 a month, and Jetta Sport, $239 a month. What else you got over there at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown?
How about 2025 Atlas Crossport SE, $279 a month? Hey, nobody can beat my deals today.
Plus, you told me earlier, all 2025 Atlas Peak Editions and SEL Atlas, $5,000 off MSRP.
That's right, Randy. Come see me, Marty McNade, at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com. And remember, your future is what you make it.
All 36 monthly, 7,500 miles, 25 cents excess mileage. Taos S, SMO 56598, MSRP 2711. Jetta SMO 851,138, MSRP 25916. Cross SE 23120, MSRP 39206. Peak Editions SEL Atlas 3500 manufacturer rebate 1500. Cost of discount includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Volkswagen Credit. Excludes fact title and license for the Blue Credit dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/30/25.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We're headed south to Baton Rouge. Ron Higgins was in Oxford for the Ole Miss LSU showdown. We get to that in a second. Ron, brought to you by a place he loves. I know, it's Miramichi. And Ron said he's going to have another little procedure for one of the hips. When that's done, his smooth swing will be so terrific, he will never throw another club. I think I witnessed him throw one. It went at least 80 yards. You know, they got a new thing where you hurl things. That might have been the golf kind of competition Ron Higgins should have been at. He could have gotten on that first tee and maybe driven the green at Miramichi. The second one's a par 5. He wouldn't have been able to do that. They're all beautiful. The back nine in particular. There's a stream that meanders. There's hills. Gorgeous. And you can play 7,500 yards if you really want that particular task, or you can play like I do, about 6,000 yards. It's enjoyable. The best practice facilities, and ladies and gentlemen, it's close. It's in Woodstock. It's 25 minutes away from my driveway in East Memphis. It's not in Millington. The best day to go is Thursday, a couple of days from now. That's the best rate. It's open on Mondays now. It's the complete golf experience. It's Miramichi in Woodstock. Ron Higgins joins us now. That was a heck of a game Saturday in Oxford. This story, Trinity Chambliss, the kid from Ferris State, that's a heck of a story. Good morning.
Good morning. It's like a fictional character that came out of nowhere. He's not exactly like the new series Chad Powers on TV, where this guy comes back to college after screwing up in the Rose Bowl game under a disguise. But Trinidad Chambliss is, wow, what a find. He fits their offense perfectly. He was basically didn't have the spring, came in sometime this summer because his quarterback's coach or his advisor told him to put his name in the portal, that he'd done all he could at Ferris State, won a national championship. And he was kind of like backup insurance for Austin Simmons. And Austin Simmons hurt his ankle, and Wow, this may be a Wally Pipp situation here.
Yeah.
And where
What would you do if you were Lane Kiffin? Because remember the old saying, and I remember reading this in books when I was a kid, you can't lose your job because of injury. But I don't know. In this day and age, especially with college kids making money from NIL, isn't it if this guy has come in and done the job, it's hard to turn back to the other?
I'd say so, yeah. I think you got to stick with what you're doing. This guy's much more experienced than Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons, I think he threw 4 touchdowns and 4 picks while he was out there the start of this year. He's a young kid. I mean, Austin Simmons is younger than this guy. This guy's just got a maturity about him, and doesn't get ruffled. He played a pretty good defense. LSU played pretty good defense against Ole Miss. They held them way under their averages. This guy made a lot of great plays. I mean, I think he ran for first downs 4 times by himself. Made great plays downfield. Just really good poise. And, again, LSU played pretty good defense, but Ole Miss had 85 plays. So LSU had like 20-something less plays. So LSU's defense held up against the best of the kid. But this kid's really good. And will this kid Ole Miss have a shot? Are they as good as last year's team? I don't know yet. I mean, they're 5-0. They're 3-0 in the SEC already. Two of the teams they played in the SEC, Kentucky is not that great, and Arkansas has already fired their coach. But LSU game is legit, and Tulane is legit too. So I'd say we have to wait and see on Ole Miss. But this kid has given a new dynamic that, which is the great thing about college football. A month into the season, you don't know what's going to happen. This kid comes out of nowhere, and he's tremendous.
I think he's one of the best stories right now in all of college football. He did not get a single Division I offer coming out of high school. That's why he had to go to Ferris State. I don't know who else was interested. I give Lane Kiffin all the credit in the world for 2 things. For one, finding him and seeing his potential because he's not the biggest guy in the world. And then secondly, helping him develop. Has Lane Kiffin ever had a bad quarterback?
I can't think of one, honestly. No, he's a really good quarterbacks coach. And he's a great play caller, as evidenced by the play call that he put clinched the game against LSU the other day. I think they had 4th and 3 and then something left, and he makes a great play call. Their tight end is wide open by 20 yards. Lane's a great play caller. He develops quarterbacks, Ole Miss has got. Ole Miss has got a shot. Right now they replaced the old LSU as a playoff contender. LSU's offense is broke. His quarterback isn't playing well. Dusmeyer is hurt. He's not playing well. They're reluctant to go to the backup, which they probably need to do at some point unless Dusmeyer gets a lot better. LSU's defense is good enough to win almost every game. But credit Ole Miss, they made plays when they had to. Ole Miss had like 6 or 7 pass plays of 20 yards or more. Probably 6 or 7 runs of 10 yards or more. LSU had like 1 run of 10 yards and like 3 pass plays over 20. So Ole Miss made the plays to win the game. They certainly did.
So Ole Miss, Alabama, Vandy, and Missouri are 5-0.
Right.
Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama are 4-1. Who's the best team in the SEC?
The team that a month ago wanted to fire their coach, Alabama. They've played 3 ranked teams so far, and won 2 of them. One at Georgia, which is almost a long win streak. I'd say right now Alabama, but it gets muddled after that. I'd say Georgia's still really good. I'd put Georgia second.
Yeah, but Georgia's lost a game at home, and honestly, they should have lost to Tennessee and Knoxville. They could have 2 losses real easy.
They didn't. They didn't lose. That's the whole thing. The losing at home didn't help them. Okay, I think they would be better. I got them ahead probably of say. Again, Oklahoma is another team we're kind of overlooking.
Yeah, they're good,
and they play really good defense, and they play 2 ranked teams. A&M's, beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame hasn't been great, but A&M's a decent team. Ole Miss is right there. You got these teams you look at these like the top 6, 7 teams, and all of them are are good, and all of them probably have their weaknesses. Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, to A&M, Ole Miss, Texas, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. I mean, this league is so friggin' competitive. It's unreal.
No,
I
agree.
It's gotten almost every. Look, there's no easy out in this league every weekend. I mean, Kentucky maybe right now, but there's no easy out. You got to go out and really beat somebody. You can't luck into a win this league. Mississippi State had Tennessee on the ropes.
That's the only game they've lost. Let's not forget the only game Texas lost was to Ohio State, number 1 team in the country.
Right, and so you're looking at these teams, and it's like it's hard to discern right now. I mean, the top 6, 7 teams are kind of muddled. They're interchangeable almost because the parity is that great in this league, and you've got to go out every week or you'll get beat. I mean, who knew? At the start of the season that Vanderbilt, Missouri, this week, coming up sooner or later, would be a killer game. I mean, a lot of these games that you didn't think were going to be, key games turn out to be key games, and because the traditional back half of the league teams have elevated themselves to the point where every game in this league is like a rock fight.
I'm impressed with Mississippi State's improvement. They knock off Arizona State. That's a good team. And then they play Tennessee to the wire. They should have, as you just said, they probably should have won that game. They had a chance to win that game. And Tennessee lost the Georgia game. They should have won that game, so maybe their karma is all evened out. But is there, Florida might absolutely be the worst team in the entire SEC.
Yeah, and I mean, look, even Arkansas at 2-3, and I know they didn't play worth a crap the other day, but they didn't show up. It's not terrible. They have
a heck of an offense. They just don't have a defense.
Yeah, they fired Sam Pittman this week and elevated Bobby Petrino.
What do you think of that? The guy was fired in disgrace there. They brought him back. I didn't even know if he could be interim head coach. I thought there was something in his contract or something that prevented that. Obviously not. And then he goes and fires 3 defensive coaches, including the DC Travis Williams, which, after the way they played against Notre Dame, maybe they all deserve to go. I don't know. But it almost smacks of desperation to me that they go with Petrino and now he's axing guys. I don't know who he replaces them with.
I don't know either, but you know what? Look, he's a jerk. He's always been a jerk and will forever be a jerk. And what he did, obviously, by Arkansas standards, is forgivable. But the guy's a really good football coach.
Yeah, there's no question. He's a great offensive coach.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if depending on the record they're under the year, they just hired him as head coach. I really believe that, hired him back. And I don't know. I mean, unless his first home game, in a couple of weeks, if he leads the team on the field driving a motorcycle, he'll probably get hired because he's a really good coach, and you don't know what's out there. And he's been this place before. He knows its strengths. He knows its weaknesses. He knows one thing. He knows they got to get more. It puzzles me that Arkansas doesn't have enough NIL money when they're sitting on top of Walmart founders. Right outside of town. Every Walton in the family has a millionaire.
Oh, there's so much high business. I wanted to say, I read this like 10 years ago, that in Northwest Arkansas, there's more millionaires per capita than anywhere else in the country. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of money in Northwest Arkansas.
It may be that these people, a lot of times people don't want to give, but they don't believe in your product.
Right.
And so, but if Petrino comes in and starts winning, and they believe in the product, they're going to give him money to buy players. But it's Ole Miss is an exception because they from the very beginning with former player Walker Jones organizing it, their NIL has been better than a lot of people. LSU's NIL just got good this year with football, but you look at a lot of places in. There's places that have natural advantages for NIL. I mean, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, all oil money. I mean, it's geographical location. Honest to God, Alabama's NIL hasn't been great, but you've got to try to elevate your NIL in locations that may not have a lot of rich folks. I mean, LSU's probably biggest donor is the founder of Cane's Chicken Fingers, Todd Graves. But everybody's got to have at least one sugar daddy. But other places that figure out how to get more NIL money are going to win because you've got to go buy players now, and you've got to go buy good ones.
Well, I agree with that, and I think that's why there's even more parity because
exactly,
you're not offering the same things. People can offer more. So if there's a great player that might go to Alabama, normally would have gone to Alabama, but Alabama's already paid too much money to this guy. You could slide in if you're Vanderbilt and get that guy. That's what I see, and I think the reason. We're seeing it grow and grow, and you just talked about how LSU finally caught on this year. It takes a while for, one, coaches to accept what's going on, then, two, fan bases. Because I remember when NIL first came out, a lot of boosters I know said, we'll never give their money. I don't agree with this. I'm not giving any money. And they're changing their way because they're seeing Johnny next door is giving money to the other school, and they definitely don't want to see their school fall behind. So it's a matter of time before the rich again get really, really rich. Last thing, Pittman becomes the fourth Power 4 coach to lose his job before even the halfway mark. Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oklahoma State, and now Arkansas. Seems to me, we're pulling the trigger a little earlier. What's your take on that?
I think there's probably more pressure to win because of NIL money and donations, and people feel like if we're donating money and we're totally buying better players, we should get more bang for our buck. And then if we're not doing that, if there's been a track record here when we keep going down or we're not getting any better, we're just going to we're going to demand a change. And Carson, now with NIL money more than ever, boosters can put pressure on the athletic department. Before, you'd have maybe one or two boosters who could do that. You're big spenders, and they might make a change. And now you got a group of people who donate a lot of money who they all band together and say, "Listen, we're going to give you money unless you make a change here. Give us some hope." I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think you've caught it right on the money as always. Ron Higgins, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, man. Take care. I'll see you.
That's our SEC historian, Ron Higgins, down in Baton Rouge. We take a break, and when we come back, we'll go across town and talk to Jonah Dillon, beat writer for the Tigers at the Commercial Appeal. We'll talk about Memphis's 5-0 start. We're almost halfway through there, too. Jonah Dillon is next.
Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Available locally on your radio dial as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, it's easy to stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Memphis football is back in action Saturday, October 4th as the Tigers take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. It's Wrestling Day in our annual breast cancer awareness game, with the first 5,000 fans receiving a special pink rally towel in support of the D'Angelo Williams Foundation. Plus, enjoy the Tiger Walk and stick around for a live wrestling match on Tiger Lane. Be all in and grab your tickets now at gotigersgo.com/tickets.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
If you're lucky, the next time you visit Bell Tavern, Memphis's perfect downtown neighborhood bar, Harold will be behind the bar. You've probably been served by Harold at one time or another. He's a Memphis legend. Harold is the kind of bartender every bartender wants to be. He's been everywhere, seen everything, and done just about anything you can think of, and he has a story about everyone. Now, he's not going to force you to sit through stories if you want to just chat with your friends or be quiet by yourself. But if you engage with Harold at Bell Tavern, you won't regret it. If you want a cocktail and a tall tale, go to Bell Tavern.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
In Boca Raton last Saturday, the Tigers put up 31 points in the fourth quarter. That's the most in a few years. 55 points, that's the most this year. I think 35. I can't remember when the last time they had more than that, but I'm sure it was not against a league team anyway. Jonah Dillon wrote a little bit about that, about maybe running up the score. It was interesting what Ryan Silverfield had to say. Good morning, Jonah. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, his explanation made sense, right? It felt like it was a weird end to the game. There were a lot of penalties. And certainly that last touchdown on the keeper by Brendan Lewis, I think definitely raised some eyebrows. But look, he said, they're committing penalties. That's the way to get your offense off the field, and they did that.
I thought it was the most honest and an accurate description. I mean, if you're worried about two things. One, your player retaliating so he gets kicked out of the next game, right? Or hurt, then what do? You get him off the field. How do you do that? You score and you send a little message to the first-year head coach.
Yeah, and they did that. Look, like the game was obviously closer at the beginning of the fourth quarter. By that point, regardless of if they scored there, the game was going to be over. It was a weird way that they ended that game. I think FAU has some things to figure out, just how they kind of played in the fourth quarter and really let go of the rope. But yeah, ultimately everyone gets out of there okay. It didn't look like there was any dust-ups after the game or anything, and everyone moves on.
All right, so now after Tulsa, it'll be halfway through. So 5 games into this, and the Tigers are major 20.5-point favorites the last time I looked to beat the Golden Hurricane. What have you learned about this team? What do you like? What are you not so crazy about? What do they got to work on?
Yeah, the running game is really good. I think that's where it has to start. The dynamic ability of Sutton Smith and Greg DeRosier to go with Brendan Lewis and his ability as a runner, obviously something that we haven't seen from Memphis in the past couple years. That's powering this team right now, and I think it's going to continue to power this team throughout the entire season. It's going to come down to is there another team on Memphis' schedule that can stop the run? Because if you can't stop the run against this Memphis team, I don't see how you're going to be able to beat them. Just with how they've done it with different running backs and the success that they're having there. There's definitely, the passing game has kind of been up and down. There's been some good moments and some shaky moments. And then I think the defense is fun under the radar a little bit, but they've been really good, especially in the second half of these games. They've really adjusted well. The whole team, I would say, the halftime adjustments, I don't know if it's halftime speeches from Ryan Silverfield and Jordan Hankins and whoever it is, or if they're just seeing things scheme-wise, because it feels like every game they've come out after halftime and really just dominated.
I'm glad you said that because I got in my notes. That's what I wanted to ask you about. In particular, Jordan Hankins and his second half adjustments, because really they've given up 20 points. It's not even that. Some of it was the offense, like in the game against FAU. So it's really like 13 points. He sees things at halftime, and he's already got a sort of a unique attack approach that is difficult for offenses, I think, to figure out. And then he changes wrinkles at the half and takes away what you might have done well. And now you're really grasping at straws. You can't quite figure out what to do. I don't think Hankins has gotten enough credit. He's really been top-notch.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the last 2 years, this year and last year when he took over as defensive coordinator, this defense was struggling, right? I mean, he's really made some significant changes. The defense not only has been successful, but it's really fun to watch the way that they play defense, right? It's guys flying around, speed is kind of the name of the game. And what I think you've seen in the second half is they've kind of caught up to things that the offense is doing. So especially on Saturday, FAU was I think had a pretty good game plan offensively, and they had Memphis kind of chasing them a little bit in the first half. And then, like you said, the adjustments are made at halftime. And in the second half, FAU's offense really kind of was behind it constantly. And once this Memphis defense gets you where they want you, it's really hard to catch back up to them because of the speed, because of the playmaking ability they have really at all three levels on that defense. And when they're rolling, it's really fun to watch.
The run game that you just mentioned about, I'm not sure who can stop them. Maybe there'll be somebody. Maybe it'll be Tulane. Maybe it'll be USF in the game. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But this combination of DeWosier and Sutton Smith is really something. Now, you have to keep in mind, Memphis has been rich in running talent for a while in this era since 14. Because if you look at Smith and you look at DeWosier, I could hear some people go, well, I don't know if we've ever had two guys at the same time at that level. And all I got to do is say to you, Henderson, Pollard, Gainwell, Gibson, all on the same team.
I was going to say two isn't enough. Yeah,
all in the NFL. So, but at the collegiate level, these two guys are equal to those four guys. Not in total. I'm just saying that they are as good as those guys were at the collegiate level. Who knows what will go on coming forward. But DeWosier is, I think, every bit as good, maybe not as fast, but shiftier than Sutton Smith. I don't think you can stop these two guys, especially with this O-line that is better at run block than they are at pass block.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Memphis team is really interesting because it's very, very clear, like we just talked about what they want to do, especially offensively. Like, we know they're going to run the ball. Every defensive coordinator playing against Memphis knows what they're going to do. Is there anyone who has the personnel to stop it in this conference? And I don't know, outside of Tulane, they've got a pretty effective defensive front. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of defensive coordinators who are looking at this saying, I know how you can, I see the path to stopping this offense. I just don't think my team can do it. And those two guys are really hard to tackle. So, like you said, the offensive line is playing well. They're getting a push. If it comes down to one guy in a gap trying to tackle Greg DeWosier or Sutton Smith, they're not going to make that play, and then suddenly it's over. You've seen that the last 2 weeks, right? Sutton Smith's long touchdown, he breaks one tackle, he's gone. Greg DeWosier, once he gets through that hole, he's gone. And even in the open field, I mean, these guys are really, really tough to tackle. They complement each other. I think there's still another gear to get to. We heard that talking to Greg DeWosier after the game. Obviously, Sutton Smith, huge game last week. Greg DeWosier, huge game this week. We haven't really seen them kind of together gashing defenses with chunk plays, on the same drive or even in the same game. And I feel like that's coming. And so, yeah, these guys they're playing at a really high level right now, and it's been really interesting to watch.
In the past game, they found their go-to guy. That's going to be Cortez Braham, who teamed up with Brendan Lewis in Nevada. And Lewis, I think, minus two halves. The first half in Atlanta against Georgia State, and then the first half against Arkansas where he was so nervous. Those are the two clunkers. Otherwise, I think he's been pretty consistent. I know he's not done a good job of protecting the ball in the pocket, and there have been a couple of costly mistakes in that regard. But other than that, this guy is pretty good.
Yeah, the running ability has been, defenses really have not been able to stop that, like we just talked about with the running backs, but then you add Brendan Lewis into that running game, and it's really hard to stop it. Again, it's all there in front of you for what's going on, but that doesn't mean that it's easy to figure it out and stop it and actually prevent it. And it's really difficult. I think you're going to see defenses, they're going to have to adjust, by spying him or doing a better job on containing him, because once he gets out of the pocket on these design pass plays, you see how much space he has, and they have a really, really hard time containing him. I think the pass game is, like I said, still work in progress, but Cortez Braham's emergence as very clearly now Memphis' top receiver is huge. You have to think about, my colleague Jason Munz tweeted during the game, where would Memphis be without Cortez Braham? And I think it's a good question, because he's now the guy. When they needed a play after the momentum was going the other direction against FAU, immediately long touchdown to Braham. He had that huge touchdown catch on third down on that fade route and just has been so dynamic for Memphis in the past game, especially on Saturday.
I think some of that is just familiarity and comfortability. I really do, because I think there are other guys. I think Hawkins is a pretty good receiver. Kluse is a pretty good receiver. But his eyes are on Graham, and if that's the way it's going to be, there will be more plays, more targets, because Ramsey knows that, and he's smart, and he's going to go what he thinks will work. Last thing, real quick, if the Tigers go and win Saturday and then at UAB, where they will be really favored. So they're going to be double-digit favorites in the next two games, and they're 7-0. And South Florida would be 6-1 when they would meet October the 25th. What do you think the odds are that there could be a game day? Because the winner of this game would be most likely the upper hand team to be the G5 rep. Do you think ESPN would do a game day in Memphis again?
So it depends on other games, right? I think people just look at that and they say, oh, they should totally come here. On the same date as that game, you've got Ole Miss at Oklahoma. That's right now number 4 against number 5. You've also got Texas A&M at LSU, number 6 against number 13. And then you've got Missouri at Vanderbilt. Both teams are currently undefeated. So those, I find it hard to believe. I know that it's not going to, Memphis fans aren't going to be thrilled about this. If you're looking at undefeated Ole Miss at undefeated Oklahoma, I don't think Memphis, is going to get college game day that day.
That wins. That wins. If indeed they are still undefeated, and didn't they do one at Oklahoma already this year?
I'm not sure, but look, it's going to so it's going to depend on how these other teams are doing by that point. If you're looking at a top 10 SEC matchup, and those three varying degrees of potential for that to happen, realistically, they're just not going to pick an American Conference game over a top 10 SEC matchup somewhere. You see the decisions that they're already making, but and that's one of the reasons that Memphis got college game day in 2019 was that it was close to the end of the season, and so it was very clear that those two teams, Memphis and SMU, were kind of at the top level. Now, this one would still be, it doesn't diminish the importance of that game. It's going to be a huge game. But we'll have to wait and see how things go over the next couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And just put it in the minds of people. Maybe that could happen. Thank you, as always. A pleasure speaking with you, Jonah. We'll talk next Thursday.
Yep, thanks for having me.
That is Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by Memphis Public Links. Go to memphispubliclinks.com if you want to play a Memphis golf course. And I'm going to do that today at Galloway. I love playing Galloway. It's in great shape. I love all the public golf courses. I love the fact that the city years ago realized great cities have golf courses as an amenity, as a plus to a city. Same way they have museums, parks, they have golf courses. And Mickey Barker took over, and he has redone all these golf courses. They're so good. There's not a bad golf course. Fox Meadows, it's fantastic. They redid those greens a little bit ago, and they roll true. You know about Galloway being redone, it's like 20 years ago. But, man, is it ever pretty. Of course, that gets a lot of play. People know about that. But Pine Hill, there's another course redone about a year and a half ago. It's a real challenge now, and it gets pretty good play. Just so many great courses. Even to learn the game, you go, to Overton, where people from Sweetens Cove did their thing, or you go to Audubon, where they got a par 3 now to go with that brand new course that is absolutely built for NCAA golf tournaments. It's truly a challenge, a beast of a golf course if you want to make it that. Memphis Public Golf is truly an amenity. If you haven't played one in a while, go check it out. That'll do it for us. Tomorrow, the big day, Dennis Philippi and the business of sports and a whole lot more. That's tomorrow. Coming up in moments is Johnny Radio. Stick around for that and have a great